So, pronouns. A Christian perspective. And no, we're not going to be talking about transgenderism or choosing your pronouns. We're going to be talking about a select group of pronouns. The pronouns you find in the Bible that are derivatives of the word you. You have ye, you, thou, thee, your, yours, thy, and thine. Now, this first group, let's just go back here. Ye in the Bible, well, in the older English, like Shakespeare's times, ye and you were considered more formal, and thee and thou were informal. But in the Bible, they decided to go a little bit different route with it, and ye and you are a plural form of you. So if you were speaking to more than one person, you would use these words. And there may be an exception here or there. I don't know of one, but the Bible's a big book, and I didn't do an exhaustive study on this. But typically, ye and you are for plurals. However, thou and thee are for singular. So if you're talking to one person, you would say thee or thou. And there's a reason why I put them in the orders I did. Let me just go back to that. If it's ye or thou, you're going to find that as the subject of the sentence. In other words, it's going to be before the action word, before the verb, typically. You and thee will typically be in the object portion of the sentence or after the verb. Now, your and yours, those are a possessive form of you, and thy and thine are also a possessive form of you. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how to differentiate when you should use your or thy or thine. I know with your and yours, that's pretty easy. We'll look at that. With thy and thine, I had to look this one up because I wasn't sure how to differentiate that either, because it just didn't seem to make sense when they were using the word thine. But with thy, it's going to come before a consonant. So if your next word begins with a consonant, you're going to have thy. There are exceptions, like when you got the letter H that don't count for some reason. I'm thinking they didn't used to pronounce the letter H in their words. Another exception would be if the next word has the beginning consonant, but there's a punctuation between them. I have noticed that they'll use thy then. With thine, that's going to come when they the following word has a vowel. Or, as I said, if there's a punctuation at the end of the sentence or at the end of where thine is. If punctuation just after thine, then it's going to be thine instead of thy. So let's look at some examples from the Bible. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. We would probably say that you are the light of the world. But it says ye because it is in the subject of the sentence. So we use the word ye. And Jesus here, he's on the... goodness, I just lost my thought of where he was. He was preaching before the huge multitude. He was doing the Beatitudes and stuff in chapter 5. So he's doing this huge sermon, and he's talking to a lot of people. So he's addressing more than one person. That's the reason he's using ye and not thou. Here we have another example. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time. This is chapter 5, verse 27. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So once again, ye, sitting there, addressing a bunch of people, and it is in the subject of the sentence. So here we are, blessed are ye. So you see ye, once again, in the subject, but it says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you. Look, revile, that's a verb. Then you got you right after it. And persecute you, another verb, persecute, with you right after it. And shall say all manner of evil against you. So they're saying stuff against you. All these yous are in the object, and it's addressing more than one person. So that's why they're using the word you there. Matthew chapter 4, verse 19 says, "And he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Here he's talking to his disciples. He's calling more than one of them at a time. And if I'm remembering right, there's Andrew, Peter, John, and James. All four of them were fishermen, and Jesus called them all at the same time, pretty much. So more than one person, and it was in the subject, or the object of the sentence. So here we are with the word thou. Jesus said unto him, It is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. That's Matthew 4:7. Here he is in the wilderness. He's being tempted by Satan, and he's speaking directly to Satan. Him and Satan are there by themselves. He's only speaking to one person. So he uses the word thou. And thou, we write a little bit differently now than what they did here. Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God is a sentence all to itself. I know there's a comma right before it, but the way we would write that in modern English times, we'd have quotation marks around thou and God. Now, I know there's quotation marks. Those quotation marks are not actually in the Bible. This is just because I took a quotation from the Bible and put it here, and the computer just automatically did that. So you can ignore those quotation marks. But thou is the subject of a sentence. It is before the verb. And it is a one-on-one conversation, singular use. Here we got it again. Ye have heard it was said by them of old time, and here's the quotation that Jesus is making, Thou shalt not commit adultery. It's one of the 10 commandments. Thou is the subject of the sentence, and, of course, he's also speaking to one people. He was like, wait a minute, you just said people. I thought it was supposed to be just one person. Well, if you read the Old Testament, God speaks to Israel as if they are one, because it is one nation, and he'll call Israel thou and thee all the time. So if you're grouped up, sometimes when you got a group and you consider them to be one, because they're one group, you'll use the singular form. I know that can be kind of confusing, but that's just the way it is. We even tend to do that today. Like, I went and I talked to the class, not, students. We'll say class. We're making a group, and we'll refer to them as if they are one. So Matthew chapter 25, verse 38, we're going to look at the word thee. When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? So here we are. You got the word saw, that's a verb. You got thee as the object. Took, verb, the object. Clothed, verb, the object. So, I know that can be kind of weird. I want to go back real fast to where I had all these together. And I always thought it was kind of odd myself that ye and thee are used so differently. Ye and thou are the subject versions, and you and thee are the object versions. You would think ye and thee would go together on the same side, and you and thou. And another thing I just want to say, as I got to thinking on this video, I was looking at you and thou, and I was like, why don't we call them yow and thou, or you and thou? And I wonder if in English we didn't pronounce them differently at one time. So anyway, I'm going to try to go back to where we were real fast. So here we are at thee, once again, like I said, after the verb. So it's the object. And here we got thee again. Peter said unto him, Though I should die with thee, talking to Jesus here, and the word die was right before the word thee, yet will I not deny thee. Verb being deny, and thee being the object. That's why we're using that version of you as thee. Okay, Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. I think we all understand how to use your and yours, that we use them the same now as we always did back then. So if you got like your good works, we'll use your that way. And of course, therefore let no man glory in men, for all things are yours. Those are possessive versions, possessive pronouns of you. Jesus said again unto him, It is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. They used it because the word God starts with a consonant. So they used thy instead of thine. See, here we got, ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. And thine comes before a vow. So thy and thine are used just like your and yours. But instead of the differentiation between thy and thine is, well, what's the following word? Does it start with a consonant or a vowel? And depending on that, you'll use thy or thine. Unless, of course, like I said, and I didn't put an example up here, if that would have been a comma or a period after thine, it still would have been thine instead of thy. So anyway, I hope this helps you understand the differences between ye and thee and thou, and why we use them the way we do in the King James Bible. To be honest, I think that it's a much more precise way of using the pronoun you, so that you understand while you're reading it if they're speaking to more than one person or not. And I think that's pretty neat, that even with the word you, because when we say you, we could be talking to one person or many people. But in the Bible, if you got thou, you know you're speaking to one person. And if he says you, talking to many. Anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all have a wonderful day.